Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Kathleen Choi. On today's show, we reflect on a historic anniversary that may have faded from public memory, but continues to shape the lives of millions of South Vietnamese 50 years later. Then we'll meet with a local organization that employs many art forms, including photography and documentary, to empower youth in fostering imagination, possibility, and community. Those stories and more coming up next on Asian Pacific Voices. As this year marks the 50th anniversary of Operation Frequent Wind, the dramatic evacuation of Saigon on April 29 to 30, 1975, marked the final chapter in the fall of South Vietnam. The USS Midway Museum, once the longest-serving aircraft carrier of the 20th century and a key participant in that historic operation, now stands as a museum and living monument, preserving the legacy of our naval service and symbolizing strength and peace. 50 years later, we honor the heroism, heart, and humanity that defined her mission on that historic day, including the extraordinary story of one South Vietnamese pilot who will be forever connected to the USS Midway Museum.
On the 29th of April, 1975, at 3:30 in the afternoon, we got the word to execute Operation Frequent Wind.
The way they alerted the people in Saigon was they played Bing Crosby's White Christmas. That was a clue that, hey, go to the designated spots because we're going to start picking up those folks.
I just remembered that chaos was everywhere. Running, scrambling, holding whatever they can, with children.
It was such a busy operation. At one time, I counted 26 Hueys circling the ship. My major concern was safety. Many of the helos coming aboard had never seen a carrier before and had less than 5 minutes of fuel remaining. I was so afraid that one of these helos coming aboard was going to flame out and crash on our flight deck. And if that would have happened, a lot of people would have lost their lives. And we had no radio contact with any of them. Everything was by hand signal. Hand signal, everything.
And so during this time, my aunt went up to one of the U.S. soldiers who was at the gate, and she was pleading with him to let her and her daughters through, because if they were to stay back, they would be killed because of her previous employment with the U.S. Embassy. And so he decided, okay, I'll let you go. But then she said, but I also have my sister's family. There's 12 of them. And he says, I'm so sorry, but there's just no way. I mean, I can't pull this off. And so she kept pleading, and she didn't give up. And so he finally gave in. Luckily, he gave in. And he said to her, he said, tomorrow at 7 o'clock in the morning, you bring your daughters and your sister's family. Don't get in line. Go to this gate where I'll be stationed. And when I give you a hand signal, that's when you come. I mean, what are the chances? I mean, this unknown and compassionate soldier was actually our angel. And so the next day, we went to the gate where this soldier was stationed, and we crossed towards our new life. You know, we went through those gates. And that was the beginning. I mean, I just can't think of what would happen if we didn't go through those gates.
A little bird dog airplane was circling the ship. It's a little observation airplane, like a little Cessna 172, and we had no radio contact with it. All of a sudden, he flew right down the flight deck, and he dropped a note on the flight deck, but the note blew over the side. Then he made a second pass, second note. It too flew over the side. His third pass, he wrote up his third note, and it stayed on the flight deck, and this note said, "Can you please move those helicopters to the other side? I can land on your runway. I can fly 1 more hour. We have enough time to move. Please rescue me." And then he signed it, Major Bong Lee, wife, and 5 child.
Meantime, as he's circling, the admiral is yelling at me to tell him to ditch. The moment it tries to ditch, it's going to flip over. And if it's going to flip over, then those folks that are not strapped in, they're already dead.
Captain Chambers and I discussed what we're going to do with this guy because we're really busy launching, recovering helos. But he said, "Vern, give me a ready deck. We're going to take him aboard."
I got on the ship's general announcing system, and I invited all of the folks that weren't on watch and helped Vern make a ready deck.
So we stopped the flight operations momentarily. We pushed over the side 4 Huey helicopters and 1 Chinook. I gave him a steady green light with an Aldous lamp, means you're cleared to land. He made a couple low passes just looking at the deck on his third pass, and he made a beautiful carrier landing. He touched down, bounced once, rolled up the deck. I had my flight deck crew lining the end of the angle deck to grab him. He was stopped 200 feet short. The major and his wife crawled out of the cockpit. She's holding a baby in her arms, and they had 4 toddlers. My flight deck crew just exploded in joy. It was just amazing.
I remembered us running towards the Chinook, the deafening sounds of the propellers because it was so loud, and the soldiers like instructing us to get in. And I just, you know, my mother, again, make sure, you know, hold each other's hands really tight, don't let go. And, you know, we got into the Chinook. I mean, we were packed like sardines. I mean, just the smells of sweat and just the sounds of the cries. I mean, it was just so numbing because what if we crash? What if, you know, we get shot down by the enemy because we weren't safe yet? And then when we landed on the Midway, after we were let out, it's like seeing thousands of people again, and all these soldiers directing us where to go. Some were carrying babies. So much going on. But at the same time, I felt safe because we've landed. We didn't get shot down.
The crew was fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
Many of the crew were giving up their bunks for refugees to lay down and get some sleep. And down on the hangar deck, they were playing with the kids, taking care of the kids.
I just couldn't wait, along with my siblings, to gather around these sailors, you know, to hear their jokes and them telling us stories. And the best part was when they were passing out M&Ms to the kids. Until this day, it's like my favorite candy.
I saw those old bosun's mates down there that I thought they were the meanest, toughest guys on this earth. And when I saw them running around holding little babies in their hand, and the compassion and all that they showed to the refugees as they were bringing them aboard, that's when I suddenly realized that the American sailor and soldier and Marine is different from the rest of them. It's just unbelievable.
The Midway represents like unity of the best of humanity to me, because that was what the thousands of soldiers came to Vietnam, you know, to save us, including an 8-year-old like me, you know.
Congressman Derek Tran. I represent California's 45th District in the U.S. Congress. We are at the USS Midway in San Diego for the commemoration of the 50-year anniversary since the fall of Saigon and Operation Frequent Wind. You know, I'm so excited to be here to see so many Vietnamese Americans that are here to commemorate our loss of a country, of a homeland, but also to pay tribute to this country, this amazing country that took us in. So seeing their faces, seeing the performances here today means so much to me. Being surrounded by military personnel who are here to also commemorate this solemn and special occasion.
This is a day bring back a lot of memory. So it kind of happy because we are in the United States, but very sad because we lost South Vietnam. We lost the Republic of Vietnam. So it's very sad and bring back a lot of memory, especially the last day of Vietnam.
Today, it is my honor to be here to tell you the story how the little bird dog to be displayed in this museum.
I'm very honored today to come here to recognize USS Midway, to give my family a new beginning.
The whole purpose was there were designated spots around Saigon, which you now call Ho Chi Minh City, that were pickup points. And they were all scheduled and organized. But I think in the end, it turned into total chaos. We rescued a lot of people, not only Midway, but everybody. But we didn't rescue everybody. I mean, we got as many as we could before the tanks overran Saigon, and that's as good as we could do. You have to do what you think is right, and you be prepared to accept the consequences. But what saved me was every ship out there pushed 1 or 2 helicopters over the side. I just pushed $100 million worth over the side to save them. So if it's only a little bit, you go to jail, or you go to jail for just a big amount. So you have to do what the hell you think is right. That's what you can live with. Even if they put your butt in jail, you can live with it. But you can't live with letting women and children drown because some idiot is telling you, don't do it. You have some choices in life, and you do the best you can. And so the good Lord's leaving me here for all this time. So on the 30th, and this is my last visit to Midway, to say thank you. So that's the story.
We now shine a spotlight on an inspiring initiative right here in San Diego, the AJA Project. This remarkable program that was founded in 2000 empowers immigrant and refugee communities through mentorship, creative expression, and community building. From storytelling workshops to cultural events, the AJA Project gives young voices a stage to be heard and celebrated.
I grew up in Japan, and at the age of 5, I moved to Germany because of my father's job to a city called Düsseldorf. And there I was, I got sent there as a child, and I remember in the first year I was there, I saw a gray sky. All of a sudden I couldn't leave, I couldn't play outside, and there was a Chernobyl, and this was a fallout from the nuclear accident. The fallout had come all over Europe, so you couldn't drink milk, you couldn't go outside, and I remember looking at this gray cloud, and it's like, oh my God, what is this thing called radiation? And this later connected somehow, unknowingly, to my work with Hiroshima and Nagasaki survivors. So this was the very first thing that I remember. And then a few years later, back then in Germany, it was still West Germany. And then it merged with East Germany after the fall of the Berlin Wall. As I was 9 years old, I think. I had a hammer in my right hand, and I was just hitting on this wall, the border. And all the good parts with the graffitis were all taken. They were sold as souvenirs. So I just had this chunk of concrete with me that I took. And I never understood what that meant. But then later, it turns out, 20 years later, I would live in Tijuana and going back and forth between San Diego and Tijuana and crossing the different kind of borders, right? The different functioning borders. So I really feel like back then I had a chance to really see this very interesting turns of history and what unknowingly those have kind of had consequences in my way I look at the world and how I do my art projects. And I started this nonprofit called the AJO Project when I was 21 years old. AJA stands for Autosuficiencia Juntado con Apoyo. In Spanish, it means supporting self-sufficiency. So we were, myself and my co-founder, we had this idea of trying to support the self-sufficiency of refugee people through cameras. And I was then already going to Thailand and Burma. There was a lot of Burmese refugee camps. I was bringing a lot of cameras and teaching them how to do cameras and photography workshops. I was telling these refugee young people to say, hey, find your voice with these cameras. And then I realized to myself, I need to find my own voice. So this happened when I started living in Tijuana around 4 or 5 years later, 2004-5. So there I started making films, making art installations, art projects. So that's really how I got really kick-started into the world of art production. I did a lot of art projects on almost every venues, and music concerts, noise music, exhibitions, movies. So I really did a lot to really fit myself into Tijuana because that was a way to kind of not combat racism, but trying to understand where that come from. Through different coincidences, but I met this person. She was a survivor from Nagasaki. She was experienced the atomic bombing when she was 14.
Like my sister, she was first year school. She went to Furitsuno school called Yamanaka, and they were outside clearing the debris that the soldiers were knocking down some of the buildings. But my sister did come back, and the next day my father and I went to look for my sister. It took us 3 days to find her, but we did find her. We went to the city first. One of our village friends, actually, he said he saw our sister. He told us she was by the pool, by Ichu, and luckily, she was on top of the pile of all the bodies. I mean, it was just uncanny that we were able to find her.
Through their stories, I found out that there's many more people like them. There's 10 more or so people, survivors from Nagasaki in San Diego. I started doing interviews, and then I found out that also that there's many more in Mexico and also in Brazil, Bolivia. So people that was in Hiroshima and Nagasaki during the bomb, they talk about, first-hand witness of what it means to see this nuclear weapon. But there's one program we just finished. It's called Civil Liberty Project. So a lot of these first and second generation refugee immigrants, youth learn about what happened to the Japanese American experience here. during the war and how they all of a sudden got kicked out and forcefully evacuated. But they go to this historical society, they look at the primary artifact, they look at the letters, they look at the recipe from the camp to try to really understand what the experience was. And then they made a media arts work with augmented reality, and we showed it in the Central Library, and we made a whole discussion about it. Because now, particularly recent years, there's a lot of stigma and rhetorics against immigrants and refugees, but we had always been working with refugees and immigrants, and we're always trying to put their voice in the center and say, look, not just call them refugees and categorize them as something. This is what we do. We will always dehumanize these people and say, oh, look at this enemy alien. This is I've been doing it for 25 years, and now I feel that we are even more necessary. It's more necessary to do this type of work and make sure that they are also human.
I came up with this idea of filling out the back alley with full of text and stories and histories and memories made by the local young people.
City Heights, as we know right now, is being gentrified. There's so many different changes happening in our community. And with all the different changes, the mere premise of the project is that despite how many changes our communities face, our words will still be here and our stories will still be here.
The Spaniards killed your people, their homeland, and their dreams. They did the same to me. Your men were hunters and gatherers. My men are trying to protect what you've left behind.
I would like people to walk away with the sense of history and memory that is under their feet.
This is a part of, I feel like, my own history, my own life story.
If my words and my story and my experiences are here to stay, that really brings hope for me.
I am Shinpei Takeda. This is my voice.
Thank you for watching today's show. Don't forget to watch past episodes and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm Kathleen Choi, and I'll see you next time on Asian Pacific Voices. Until then, take care, everyone. This program was made possible in part by the California Arts Council.